It's the Ronald Show, starring Ronald, documenting the collapse of life as we know it, as perpetrated by the global military-industrial complex. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the host of the Ronald Show, Ronald. Okay. This report is called the Bot Report. Here's what it says. For those of you who are not familiar with the WebBot project, here is a brief history of what it is. Originally designed to track stock market pricing and sector trending, the WebBot uses a system of spiders that crawl the internet looking for patterns of behavior, trends, and chatter pertaining to coming events. This tool is believed to be able to forecast the future by tapping into the collective subconscious of society. The project has predicted some amazing things. Most people agree that statistically speaking, it is far more accurate than chance. I have attached a copy of the latest 2011-12 Trending Analysis Report by Cliff High, the man behind the project. And the project is right here. It's called The Shape of Things to Come, Volume 0, Issue 9, Data Set Analysis, Asymmetric Language, Trend Analysis, Interpretation of the Predictions for 2011 and 2012 by Cliff High, halfpasthuman.com. Copyright 2010, all rights reserved. He wrote this paper, and here's his disclaimer in the paper. This forecast is real. Now, this is him speaking as he believes this. This forecast is real. A person would still be an idiot to make decisions based solely on their interpretation of my interpretation of strange data patterns. Universe rewards thinking. Everyone should try it for themselves at least once. Now would be a good time. It does not hurt as much as you might think. Okay, so thinking actually does hurt a bunch, but still, you must do it. The times demand some cogitation. Okay, try to avoid group thinking thoughts. It is a poor substitute for personal, individual thinking, and has proven to be fattening. All right, filled with empty calories of no nutritional value and causes much stinky gas to vent from the mouth. That's his disclaimer in the beginning of the report. So he talks about the meta arts. So I did an analysis of the first 40 pages of this. It's a 49-page document. And I wrote a few words on each concept that he talks about that's about to happen. And I've summarized it into 7 pages, and I'm just going to read the 7 pages to you.
Yeah. Could you pop it?
Political suicides as corruption based on the Iraqi dinar valuation is going to ensue, and you're going to see why. Central bank has hoarded all of the gold and possibly other precious metals because a lot of shit's about to happen. Pharmaceutical drug supply reduction. That means because of bad transportation due to road outages and severe weather, people aren't going to be able to get their medication. And so if you're in the 20 to 40 range, you know, and you're still healthy, you'll make it through this. But a lot of people over 55 are going to fucking die. Okay? Lies from the government in 2011. Lies from the government in 2011. This is what he talks about, austerity. The government will intentionally try to make Americans believe that less resources are available by half-empty delivery trucks blaming the lack of resources on the market, yet the powers that be are intentionally making a psychological campaign of austerity, lack of resources. Austerity means a lack of resources, and blaming it on the economy, when they are really shifting resources and possibly diverting foodstuffs and water supplies to underground bunkers in preparation for things like the collapse of life on this planet as we know it. caused by a lot of factors like the geomagnetic forces, solar flares, power outages, and a huge cracking of the Antarctic that's going to cause a major deluge of water and planet-wide, along with volcanic activity that's going to cause a mini ice age and freeze everything. So the dollar is going to collapse. That's what they're talking about. They're going to talk about how there's scarce food resources and the dollar is going to collapse. Diverting food and water supplies, they're going to be bringing food and water underground instead of putting it on your shelves. And this is going to happen when? Just after the dollar collapses. And the dollar is going to collapse on March 21st, 2011. So it's going to collapse in 4 weeks. The dollar is going to collapse. And we're going to go through, it's predicting a 3-day period of digesting the information and going, okay, listening to the rhetoric on TV, because that's what we're used to right now, which is going to drastically change. And food becoming scarce and very, very expensive with a devalued dollar. So if there is going to be a run on food starting at the very end of March, beginning in February, when 3 weeks later after the dollar dies, on March, in April 15th, probably tax day, everyone's going to take their tax money and run to the store and start buying everything that they can. And there's going to be a run on everything. And that's going to happen April 15th, April 16th. So you want to get your shit before April 15th, otherwise you're going to have to kill for it possibly, or be killed trying to get it. So the time is to take all your resources right now and start spending them on food and water supplies, and then deciding where you're going to live. So, warning from the government in 2011, solar flares and UFOs. A Washington, D.C. nationally televised press conference is going to happen about one thing. They're going to have a press conference about something, and it's going to suddenly shift when a general takes the stage and warns the world about the sun and the cooking of the planet. During the press conference, the generals get angry. He also gets angry at questions about space alien intervention. The general will use the word disclosure, and even toward the subjects of aliens, but in general way and not in a here they are way. The media reports all of this in a bad news way, and things look bleak for the planet. The general will deny questions to the following: shadow government, service, reverse engineer technology, and they have it, and it will not fail. Okay? So there's going to be an announcement made here probably around the end of the month. They're looking at the end of May. There's global and U.S. famines become apparent. Atmospheric flooding. This is what I was talking about atmospheric flooding. Atmospheric flooding phenomena. It's flooding across the north and south of the north and southwest of America. So California and the whole west coast of the United States is going to get totally flooded out by what's called atmospheric flooding. And it's also going to happen in the central plains of the U.S., major flooding that causes. This is going to crush this is going to be the worst flooding disaster in American history, and it's about to happen. And it's going to cause a lot of damage. This is what the bot is predicting. That this is all about to happen based on all of the trends that it is seeing and everything it's gathered off of the internet and parsed and processed. It predicts trends. It started out as a trend predictor for stocks and bonds and morphed into a predictor of human subconscious behavior and the way the Earth has been playing itself out. It predicted Katrina. News by TV and events within the story. Let's see. Atmospheric flooding is going to blast the United States into a famine and an economic and a life depression. Deaths are going to happen. Food, it's going to be crazy, and this is about to happen. Okay, news of the events by the TV and events within the story. Radiation alerts from the TV about space radiation and warnings. So there's going to be solar flares. And there's a huge hole right now that supports it. There's stories on here, I researched them about that NASA is talking about big holes in our magnetosphere, which is this 100 times the size of Earth ball of energy that protects us from the radiation of the sun, that has huge holes in it, and we're about to get hit by major rays because the magnetic core of the Earth is in a diminished state. So there's holes, and it's going to start. It talks about fires globally. Global fires due to solar and space radiation. Australia, China, Siberia, Central Canada, deep southern USA, Texas to California, and Louisiana to the Atlantic. South America and the Amazon. So there's going to be mass fires that are going to start burning all the dry areas of the planet. Droughts and famine worldwide in 2011 and 12 because of washed out and burned out crops throughout the planet due to extreme solar winds, flooding, and fires. Polar shifting and electromagnetic anomalies. Multiple magnetic poles will suddenly appear globally, causing chaos with all electrical devices, failures and explosions, possible physical pain, and nerve vibrations. This will cause actually physical pain for the human being. These electromagnetic forces are going to be so off-balancing. Shadow government reverse engineer technology will not fail. The government has technology beyond your imagination, and they control that information. Wandering south poles will cause many animal deaths and may also result in impaired cognition due to the extreme change in electromagnetic forces, electromagnetic anomalous zones that cause vehicles and electronic devices, satellites, and GPS communications not to work. These no-go zones will be on land and water, oceans, rivers, and lakes. Visually perceptible as centrally located hot fog electromagnetic banding. You'll be able to see in locations. It'll be foggy with bands. They'll sing hot fog if you're out and about. You'll know if you can communicate or not. And we're in Florida, so we're going to talk about where we're going to go. Point of no return. News propaganda statements made by global news corporations regarding Earth changes. There's going to be a statement that comes out in the rhetoric it predicts called the point of no return. So look for that statement. 2011 Earth changes. Vast amounts of major and massive sinkholes taking roads, telecom buildings, cell towers, lakes, rerouting rivers, outpacing the media reporting at a rate of 4 to 1. It'll be happening, and they won't even be able to cover it fast enough because it's going to be like sinkholes. Major American reddish-brown river will change course, affecting water, land, and travel. It predicts a major river to change directions. 2011 floodings. A continuing instance of major floodings will happen throughout 2011, such as has already happened in Brazil, Australia, and the Philippines. This is the Brazil flooding that just happened. This is the Philippines flooding that just happened, and this is the Australian one. So these floodings are happening, and here is a volcano that erupted in the Philippines today. Loss of power and communications, and thousands of residents are displaced. Imagine all of a sudden we have nothing and we're out on the street now. Like, where do we go? What do we do? Our house was just flooded to nothing. Everything's gone. We don't even know where we're going to sleep. Hotels, everything's washed away, and you're trying to make it. So that's what they're going through, and these mountains that they've just been pulled out of that just landslid into nothing, and now they're going like, where are we going? Loss of power and communications. The credibility and availability of news propaganda will move into scarcity and altogether will pale in comparison to the human condition that everyone will be focusing upon. So a lot of shit's going to get knocked out, and people are going to be like, well, we're just trying to live through today. Rivers of snow, a phenomenon where rivers of actual snow pour down from mountains, taking out buildings, roads, bridges, and everything in its path. It's predicting that based on the information, where we're going, anomalies, weather, the crazy weather patterns that we're experiencing, that it's pulling information from. Canadian gas lines severed due to mass rains and winds. Part of North America will be cut off due to shifting earth hills and mountains of mudslides and flooding. Air travel to the area is impacted by wind and rain. Major earth processes, magnetic shifts and processes resulting in earth changes are likely to continue for the next 84 years. They see this as like it's going to affect everybody for a long time.